and this was 4 months ago. I'm gonna go ahead and screen share this one. Good luck. We didn't always have an earthquake time. It rains and fissures across Arizona. Oh man, I'm from Florida where we have a whole bunch of hurricanes, and you know, I'm not gonna say tornadoes. But Florida is well known for hurricanes, and that's what we deal with. And man. So let me switch out. I'm gonna go ahead and play this video. And this says cop slams high school at traffic stop, and her dad shows up. So this is about to be wild. Why a cop would slam a high school girl, I don't understand. I don't understand that situation in it at all. Why would a cop need to slam a high school girl? A high school student, whether it be girl, boy, the reason why you would need to slam a kid is insane. And I just don't get, like, we saw that video of that kid being pepper sprayed because he wasn't in the best mood and wanted to take himself away from the activities that were going on in the gym. It's not like he did anything wrong. And this cop was trying to tase him and take away his book bag from him, which is insane. That why would you need to do that? It was no reason that this cop should be talking to this kid or dealing with this kid, but eventually he decided that he was going to take it even further. He even used his nightstick to try to pry the kid's book bag off of him. And the kid didn't do anything wrong. All the cop was doing was he was ego tripping and power tripping because the kid didn't just bend over to his authority or whatever. But it's no the cop shouldn't even been talking to that kid because the kid didn't do anything. And then the officer, he lied to the kid's father and tried to make it seem like it was a necessary to tase him. He tried to make it seem like it was so necessary to do all the things that had nothing to do with what was going on. The kid said, I don't want to be involved, and the kid removed himself from being around people, being around the other kids. All the kid did was remove himself, and the cop had a problem with that, which is insane. It's insane that the coach called the police. It's the whole thing about that, what's going on in that school was crazy. But let's watch this one and see what's going on here.
Can you please grab my phone and my license for me?
You're now going to jail. Do you understand?
This police officer just violently arrested an 18-year-old high school student after pulling her over for allegedly speeding, and now he's explaining to his responding backup exactly what he just did.
Pull over for headlight and speed.
Okay.
Cracks her window. Ask her to roll it down the rest of the way. Cracked it another half inch. Ask her to exit. She refuses to exit until I tell her why. Tell her about 4 or 5 times to exit the vehicle. You don't want to go down this route. Refuse to exit. So, pulled her ass out, put her in arm bar, slammed her to the ground, got her in custody.
That makes absolutely no sense. What kind of man would feel like that's what you need to do? What kind of man does that? And it's crazy that the man that decided to do that is in a uniform and it's supposed to be for the people, for helping people, or defending against a situation. And that's the type of man that decided he's going to be a cop and use that to abuse people. Insane. You know, that's insane. The fact that he felt even comfortable saying that to people is insane, man. Oh my goodness, man.
Refuse exit. So pulled her ass out, put her in arm bar, slammed her to the ground, got her in custody. Held exit.
Wow.
Tell her about 4 or 5 times, exit the vehicle. You don't want to go down this route. Refuse exit.
So she refused to exit the car or the vehicle. So you decide to grab her and throw her down on the ground. Why not just, if you felt that she needed to exit the vehicle so bad, why didn't you just arrest her? Or why didn't he didn't even attempt to, basically, why would a man feel like that's necessary? I just don't understand that. As a man, I don't feel like that was necessary. I know any man watching this is gonna feel the same way. Why would you do that to a teenage girl? Why would you do that to a teenage boy or girl or any kid?
So pulled her ass out, put her in arm bar, slammed her to the ground, got her in custody. How old is she?
So this she didn't fight him. This was his ego acting at this point, because she did nothing physical to you, but you got physical with her.
She said she's 18. Okay. So she's going to go to jail. How old is she? So pulled her ass out, put her in arm bar, slammed her to the ground, got her in custody. How old is she? She said she's 18. Okay.
She says she's 18. So which means she probably was 17 and just turned 18.
So she's going to go to jail. Of course, my body cam didn't turn on when I told it to.
Of course, his body cam didn't turn on until.
So his body cam didn't turn on when he told it to turn on. Come on, man. Come on.
After he took down and violently armbarred an 18-year-old high school girl. But lucky for us, this gas station's cameras were working,
Look
as
at
well
her.
as the officer's dash cam. And you need to see this footage, because if this one does not make you mad, then you are part of the problem. Let's go through it.
I'm pissed off even just before I even see it. I just don't know.
This is one of those situations I talk about where it's not always a bright line. What can a police officer do? What can a police officer not do? A lot of constitutional law is an analysis of reasonableness under the totality of the circumstances. So this happened in South Whitley, Indiana. The South Whitley Police Department, Officer Brian Schimmel, he only began working there in October of 2023. And he pulls over this high school senior, Vivian Augustus, who was 18 at the time. On January 24th of 2024, Vivian's parents say that she was driving home from school and was pulling into the South Whitley Marathon gas station on South State Street. They say that she was nervous because this was the first time that she had ever been pulled over. South Whitley officer Brian Schimmel says that he pulled her over because she had a headlight out and was speeding. He comes up and asks her to roll down the window, which he does very quickly, her father said. So she's looking for her driver's license and registration, and she says she asked him why she was being pulled over and that she was told that didn't matter and she needed to get out of the car. She was still trying to find her driver's license and registration. He opened up the vehicle, told her to get out of the car while she's still trying to find it. She keeps it in her lanyard with her student ID. She said as soon as he opened the door, she was just scared, her mother said. I could. Surveillance video from the gas station and Officer Schimmel's dash cam video shows him pulling her violently from the car onto the pavement. Notice there's a wedding ring on Officer Schimmel's left hand. Somebody might want to check on his wife to make sure that she's all right.
All right, get up. Roll over on your butt.
I have a knee injury.
Look at her. What? You can obviously see there's no reason to slam her. What do you mean? Look at her.
Please help me out.
Which knee's hurt?
No, I have a knee injury.
Okay, ready? I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3, up. How old are you?
18.
Good job, you're going to jail.
How old are you? 18. Good job. You're going to jail. What? I just don't get why people like this decide to be cops. And it just makes the whole department look even worse. And it seems like this is who they look for. They look for people like this guy, which is unbelievable. I don't know what man acts like that. Only a man with who's really, I guess, you want to say, if you want to say insecure or what's going on, I don't know what's going on with this guy. But any man who decides you need to slam a teenage girl because they wouldn't follow your orders is insane. Look at her.
Well, can you
Refusing to identify.
He tells her he's arresting her for refusal to identify, but you'll see here just in a couple of seconds, her ID is actually on the asphalt, where when he violently pulled her out of the car and took her to the asphalt, the ID was clearly in her hands or somewhere readily accessible, probably attempting to give it to him, and now it's on the ground. Also, take a look at the side of this police car. And the words police, they're black letters with a blue line right through the middle. And that should tell you everything you need to know about why this guy's acting the way he is. Because thin blue.
You say, yeah, that is he is a menace. Any man who acts like that, you're a menace. Any person, or if you act like that, you are a menace and you shouldn't have guns. If you do stuff like that, you should not have guns. They slam 80-year-old people too, which is insane. I think in cases like that, these people should be labeled a menace and be taken out of society, and however that needs to be done. But they need to be taken out of society and know they don't need to have guns. I think when you do things like this, you should have your gun rights taken away, because what do you need a gun for if you act like that? It's just insane, y'all.
Blue line, what does that mean? It means us versus them. It means we protect our own first rather than protect and serve 18-year-old high school students, for instance.
Can you please grab my things for me?
You're what?
Can you please grab my phone and my license?
Look at her. You can hear, she's a kid. You know that. And you decide to slam her on the ground and put her in the arm bar. What?
Things for me
Yep. Take a seat.
and my keys.
Take a seat.
He said, good job, you're going to jail. He's happy to take her to jail. We don't need jail full of people like her. What are you talking about? We don't need jails filled with kids that aren't doing anything wrong, or kids that don't know how to deal with. Basically, she was scared and she was acting like as if she was scared, which him being who he is, he should say, hey, everything's okay. The reason I pulled you over is because of blah, 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 whatever it needs to, but you decide to grab her and slam her on the ground which you didn't need to slam her on the ground. You didn't need to put her in the arm bar, any of that. But that was his choice in this situation. And he's so happy to fill jails with people like her. What is your problem? Jail needs people like him. You know, people who just aren't there mentally and acting like he does. What he's saying, Claudia said, yeah, she would never forget this. Never. How could you? This is a permanent memory, and this is gonna affect how she sees cops in the future. I'm sure that she's gonna have not only issues with cops, anybody who's a cop, but she's gonna have an issue with any man who fix the description of how this guy looked or anything. Anything is gonna make her just trip out. He crazy. Disgusting, man. It's absolutely disgusting that we're dealing with stuff like that. That we're dealing with people like this. Like, what's wrong with you? Why would you need to do that to a teenage girl? I don't get that. Why would you need to do that to a teenage girl? And not only, she basically looked like a kid. She looked like she didn't even. I don't know, man. You can obviously tell she was a kid, and you can obviously, I'm sure he was able to tell that she was nervous in that situation. And he decides, well, I'm gonna make it worse for you by slamming you out the car. Like, look at the car she's driving. Like, come on. She don't have tint or nothing.
All right, Vivian. Are you injured in any way? Would you like the medics to check you out? Okay. I'm going to read you your Miranda rights, okay? I have to read these to you since you're in custody, all right? This is your Miranda warning. Before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions and have them with you during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed to you before any questioning if you wish. If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you will still have the right to stop answering at any time. You also have the right to stop answering at any time until you talk to a lawyer. Do you understand your rights? Okay. I'm not going to ask you any questions right now. What I am going to tell you is you were pulled over for your speed and your headlight, okay? Your speed was 37 and 30, not that big of a deal, and your headlight was out on your driver's side.
So he slammed her on the ground and almost broke her arm because she was going 7 miles above the speed limit and her headlight was out. And he felt like he needs to slam her because of that. How insane is that to y'all? That is insane. You felt she was going 7 miles above the speed limit and she had a headlight that was out, and you decide that you need to slam her on the ground and take her to jail. She's being taken to jail because she had a headlight out and she was going 7 miles above the speed limit. What is going on? What is going on right now? Insane. Insanity. And you look at this and you think there's men acting like that, or there's cops acting like that. That goes bad for everybody involved. That's bad for that police department. That's bad for men in general. Like, he just making everybody look bad. Like, what's wrong with you? How are you not using better decision? How are you not using better judgment when it comes to situations like that? How don't you have better judgment?
Pulling you over to let you know. If you would have just given me your deal, you're pulled over for your speed and your headlight. Okay, I'm not going to ask you any questions right now. What I am going to tell you is you were pulled over for your speed and your headlight, okay? Your speed was 37 and 30, not that big.
37 and 30, not a big deal. He even said it's not a big deal. But we know, we can hear, we know that that's not a big deal. 37 and 30 and having a headlight out and you're taking her to jail. You slammed her on the ground for that. But he didn't, it wasn't, those weren't issues. The issues were that she didn't follow orders. And that's the thing, that's what we're dealing with. Cops have this ego issue.
Big of a deal, and your headlight was out on your driver's side. Pulling you over to let you know. If you would have just given me your license and your registration like I asked you to do, you would have gone away for warning tonight, okay? But however, since you decided to pull this right here, where you don't want to comply, you don't want to give me your ID, and you think you're going to run the scene, you're now going to jail. Do you understand?
I was trying to give you my ID.
You were not. How many times did I ask you?
I was pulling over.
You were not. I've got a body cam on. It will show you not pulling your ID out. When I ask you to step out of the vehicle, you step out of the vehicle. You don't get to sit there and tell me how I'm going to do my job. Do you understand?
Well, you can see where it's the ego thing. He has an issue. You're not going to sit there and tell me how to do my job. Bro, you're a grown man and you're talking to a teenage girl. What is wrong with you, man? I just don't get it. How did you get through life? I think you were somebody who was bullied. Life just didn't go the way it needed to go for you, I guess. But you felt like you were having a battle with a teenage girl. I could never see myself in a situation like that. I'm sure anybody who sees this video, if you're a man, could you ever see yourself in a situation like that? Like, come on. It absolutely insane. No way. And say qualified immunity has them this way, which is insane. You think, man. Carl, could you ever see yourself in a situation like that where you need to slam a teenage girl out of a car because you pulled her over for going 7 miles above the speed limit and having a headlight out? You think you need it? Could you, in your mind, decide this person needs to go to jail because they're not following my orders or they're not doing everything the second I say do it? Insane, man. Absolutely ridiculous, man.
See what I mean? This tough guy getting angry, slamming the door in the way he's talking to a little girl, telling her that he had his body cam on when he knew.
And the civil rights lawyer, you already know this is pissing him off because that's how you have to see. Like, this is a little girl. What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, that's a little girl you dealing with, man. And you felt like you need to slam her out the car. Honestly, if you're a grown man, that is a little girl to you.
Knew very well that his body cam was not recording during their conversation.
Exactly.
As he tells this other
Insane,
police
man.
officer who arrives as backup for this dangerous high school girl.
What you got?
Pull over for headlight and speed.
Okay.
Cracks her window. Ask her to roll it down the rest of the way. Cracked it another half inch. Ask her to exit. She refuses to exit until I tell her why. Tell her about 4 or 5 times, exit the vehicle. You don't want to go down this route. Refuse to exit. So, pulled her ass out, put her in arm bar, slammed her to the ground, got her in custody.
How old is she?
She said she's 18.
Okay.
So she
This cop that came on the scene and is hearing him now, he knows that this is bullshit. And he asked him, how old is she?
gonna go to jail.
He's like, why? For what? You taking her to jail because she was going 30, 37 in a 30 and having a headlight out. No, but you're the real issue is that she didn't follow your orders the way that you think that she needs to follow them. Insane, man. Insane. I can't believe there are cops out there like this, and there's men out there who decide to become cops who are like this. That's what we're dealing with. And this video was, hold on, 4 months ago. This happened in 2024. It looks like this happened in January. January of 2024 is when this happened. So it's insane that we're dealing with this, man.
Of course, my body cam didn't turn on when I told it to. You're gonna have to back out, man. There's no room over there.
Not plug up the whole damn parking.
Okay, well, the problem here, sir, is that she pulled in here. I didn't pull her in here, so get off my scene.
Look, he talked to
Get
an old
off
man
my
like that.
scene.
Yet again, we have a demonstration here on the body cam that was recorded that this guy has a temper. Of course, he did not have a temper when his body cam was not running. That was all the little girl's doing. She's clearly a criminal. Everybody needs to bow down and respect his authority and just get out of his way, because he is the government. He is the thin blue line. I mean, it's right there on his police car.
Dispatch. Good family.
You know,
And this is crazy. It's one thing to have an ego, but this cop is absolutely insane. He's a psychopath. Something is not right mentally, and I can't believe they're hiring people like this. What is the standard that you are hiring people at when you have people who act like this and become cops? So you give them a license to kill people, and you give that license to people like this guy who is abusing and assaulting teenage girls. Like, what?
about him?
Signal 80.
What?
Valid return, signal 80. Yep.
This guy's 655. She's going to be in custody. Failure to identify and resisting. You sort of hooked my way. Next off rotation.
You know what you're getting into. Their son is at the school, and we deal with them all the time. And then yeah. So was your dash cam going?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all you need.
Yeah, dash cam was going. But body cam didn't go on until she was already on the ground. We've also got the gas station footage too.
Yeah. Just make sure you're articulate, because I can tell you right now the way the family is. I can tell you right now the way the family is. Make sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
she didn't identify, and then she resisted.
No, I'm just telling you.
I mean, it's cut and dry.
She's from here, so make sure you have everything in there. I'm just giving you.
In case you didn't catch that, and I didn't catch everything that this other officer was saying, but the other officer who responds to the scene appears to be a school resource officer. And he's telling Officer Schimmel that he knows who this high school student is, and he knows her family, and that he needs to be careful in how he acts from this point forward. He needs to document basically CYA, be careful on how he writes things up. And then Officer Schimmel says, well, it's pretty straightforward. I've never been to Indiana, true story. Though when I was in college, our first football game was against Purdue when they had a new quarterback. And I remember the coaches saying, do not make fun of the fuzzy birthmark on this guy's face. And that guy was Drew Brees. Anyways, I do know how to research Indiana law, so I looked up these particular statutes. One, refusal to identify self, and that's Indiana Code Section 3428-5-3.5. A person who knowingly or intentionally refuses to provide either the person's name, address, and date of birth, or to driver's license, if in the person's possession, to a law enforcement officer who has stopped the person for an infraction or ordinance violation commits a Class C misdemeanor. The case law on this basically says it just has to be done promptly. So before you get arrested for it, essentially. What about resisting an officer, resisting arrest? And this is basically what would be quote unquote obstruction in other states. And this is usually what they try to get people with, for not getting out of the car fast enough, or not rolling down the window enough, or whatever. It's their miscellaneous catch-all provision. I actually like this in Indiana law. Let's look at this statute. And that's probably why when her father sent me the criminal case paperwork, they did not end up even charging her with this. And actually it says, do not use this charge. Why? Well, let's look at the charge. Indiana Code Title 35, Article 44.1. A person who knowingly or intentionally forcibly resists, or obstructs, or interferes with a law enforcement officer or a person assisting the officer while the officer is lawfully engaged in the execution of the officer's duties. I actually like this law much better than what we have in West Virginia or most states with their obstruction statute. It says a person has to knowingly or intentionally forcibly resist, obstruct, or interfere. So therefore, we have to look to the appellate courts to define what does forcible mean. Here's how the courts recently defined it in Indiana. A person resists law enforcement when he uses strong, powerful, or violent means. I like that phrase. To impede an officer from executing his duties. And that is from Walker versus State. An extreme level of force is not required. The force element may be satisfied by even a modest exertion of strength, power, or violence, such as the stiffening of one's arms when being handcuffed. In addition, actual physical contact is not required. A threatening gesture in the officer's direction can be enough. That's probably a definition that gets used over and over again. It covers most situations. Does not appear to cover somebody just not getting out of the car fast enough or not getting out of the car at all.
Which is, oh my goodness, man.
It requires a strong, powerful, or violent means to impede an officer. Was there a modest exertion of strength, power, or violence here? No, not at all.
Not even close.
And although there does not have to be any actual physical contact, there still would have to be a threatening gesture in the officer's direction. Was there a threatening gesture here? No.
Not even close.
He just said that she refused to get out of the car, so he forcibly took her out of the car. Okay, so back to the video. After the school resource officer,
And it's not even that she refused to get out the car, or I don't think that she was at a point where she was refusing to give IDs. She was asking questions. What's going on here?
finishes warning Officer Schimmel, this family is going to cause you problems. They're very difficult, he's implying. Make sure to dot your I's, cross your T's. Her father, Vivian's father, shows up at the scene. And does this guy seem difficult to you? He actually seems completely reasonable and cool-headed with the cops. I mean, even like too much.
How's it going?
My car.
Yeah. Your daughter?
Yep. So I'll tell you, because I'm the one that pulled over.
Oh.
So I pulled her over.
I forgot that her dad is supposed to show up, and this is her father here that showed up to this scene, and which is any man who knows that, who has a daughter, this is how you show up for her.
For speed, 37 and a 30. and then the headlight. Okay, her driver's side headlights out.
Oh, okay.
Pull her over.
She was going 37. In my mind, I'm thinking 37. You pull somebody over because they were going 37 and they're in the back of a police car because they were going 37 and a 30 and they had a headlight that was out. That's why they're in the back seat right now, which is insane. No, well, they didn't listen to the orders I gave.
First, she pulls in here, cracks the window. They're talking to me.
I got him.
Okay. Cracks the window. Ask her to roll the window down a little bit more. All the commotion and the rain, I can't hear her.
Yeah.
Refuses to do.
Cap. All the commotion in the rain, and I didn't hear. No, she cracked the window because she didn't want you. It doesn't matter as long as she can hear you and you can hear her. It shouldn't matter how far the window goes down.
Do that. Ask her to step out of the vehicle. She refuses to step out. Ask her probably 4, 5, 6 times to exit the vehicle nicely. Ask her please. Refuse to do it. Want to give me her ID. Want to give me her registration. So she's assisted out of the vehicle, placed into custody, resisting arrest and failure to identify.
Okay.
Okay.
Honestly, I know she's 18. That's probably my bad because I've instructed her that you roll the window down like that much.
Absolutely. You don't have to roll it down all the way as long as you can get the ID out. The problem is when I can't hear because of traffic and the rain and everything.
The dad, well, I told her to not let the window down so much. And the dad only said that because cops act like him. The dad is saying or gave her the instructions to avoid cops like this guy. That's the only reason. And telling her how to avoid guys like him, I know he has to have a conversation like with her later. Say, I'm sorry I put you, that you had to meet guys like him. Even when I told you, even though when I was trying to show you how to avoid that, it still happened.
Everything. We're in a gas station. You know, you ask her to exit the vehicle and she refuses to do so. You know what I mean? Then we go down this route.
Yep.
So, I just wanted to let you know. Are you dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my dad's a retired state trooper.
Okay.
So,
do you have somebody? Well, I already called a hook. I wish you would have got here a few minutes earlier. I would have just gave you the car, but there's already a wrecker on the way. So.
Oh, I can't just take my car?
Let me see if they called him.
I got it.
He'll do it.
I was going to say wrecker or not.
Well, they've already been called, but if they're not in the truck yet, I'll give it to you. I don't have an issue with that.
Okay.
So he's like, I already called a tow company to come get this car. He's saying, well, I can't just take my car. Like, what's? He said, oh well, I'll make sure you can take the car. Like, bro, I can't. It's not even her car. Y'all, this is so bad. Can you imagine a man who's a cop acting like this? Like, you know, it's bad that it's cops who act like this, but it's even worse for men who act like this who decide to become cops. It's bad on whether it's a male cop or a female cop. You can tell like it's always they have a crazy mindset about everything and thinking and how to. They have no training on how to deal with the public or deal with people in general. You know, it makes absolutely no sense. What is it? The dad's doing awesome because if it were my kid, I would have exactly like it. As a dad, I'm going up there. Why is my daughter in a police car? And he's telling me I pulled her over because, or she's in that situation right now because she was going 37 and a 30 and had a headlight out and did give me all the information I asked for when I asked, like, come on. Like as a father, I'm pissed off. Like I would be pissed off. It's insane, man. Imagine you being a father and you coming to a scene like this, and your child has been slammed on the ground because, and the whole reason that the cop is even there is because they were going 37 and 30 and had a headlight out, and they're in this situation going to jail now. Imagine dealing with that as a parent. It's so insane. I don't even have children, but I know if I did have a child, that my mindset would drive me insane. Oh my goodness, I wouldn't know what to do it.
I just have to do a search incident to arrest, make sure there's nothing in there she shouldn't have, and then I'll give it to you. Okay.
Yeah,
You got your ID, so I can.
Yeah.
Look what happens here. Under the guise of making sure this is her father, him being able to drive the car from the scene rather than it being towed, he asks for his ID. But was it for that purpose? No. You're going to see just in a few seconds the real purpose. He is going to run that ID into dispatch to get the criminal history of the father.
So what happens next with her?
So
And that's the thing. Whenever a cop is asking for your ID, this is why I don't just give them my ID. I don't have a criminal record. There's nothing that would on my record that would be of importance to them. But it's the fact that they even do shit like that. The whole reason for them the whole reason they ask for your ID is to check to see what can I charge this person with, or what can I do to make this person's life more difficult. That's all they're getting your ID for. They're not getting your ID to make sure. It's insane.
she's going to go to jail for resisting and failure to identify.
She's going to jail for resisting. That would piss me off right there. So you take him out. I would have, in my mind, I'm just like, you taking my daughter to jail because she was going 37 and 30 and had a headlight out. That's why you're taking her to jail. That's why you're putting jail on her record, and it will piss me off. It will piss me off.
Going to get a ticket for the headlight and the speed. She'll go down to Whitley County Jail. She'll be assigned a bond, and then you can bond her out.
Okay.
Or whoever. Doesn't matter who, but she'll get a bond.
Yeah. Can I talk to her for a sec? Just to keep her chill?
Just disregard.
Yeah. And I watched thousands of videos, and sadly, I've only seen maybe 4 good cops. And that's all you're going to see in your lifetime. It's like, there's only been a couple instances where I've dealt with a cop that was okay. Exactly. Now he's violating dad's rights just because he showed up. Insane. You're going to arrest this man's daughter, his teenage daughter, and now you're trying to violate him. I couldn't imagine it being a father of, whether it be a girl or a boy. But it being a girl would make the situation even worse mentally. Because you're thinking, this man just put his hands on my daughter and is arresting her for going 37 in a 30 and having the headlight out, and you slammed her on the ground because of that. I wouldn't even be able to function right now. This dad is more calm than any other dad would be, and his father was in law enforcement.
Guard him. Yeah, you give me a minute, okay? Dispatch 65.5. I've got a 27. It's going to be her father out of Indiana. Last name Augustus, Adam Union, George Union, Sam, Tom Union, Sam. First name Brent, Common. Middle. There you are. Let me get the car search real quick. As long as we're good, well, we'll get you to talk to her first. I assure you.
Okay.
You're worried, so.
I'm not worried.
Well, I want you to. You're a dad, right?
Yeah.
I'm a dad. I'd be worried, so.
I'm a dad. I'd be worried. And to think that this guy is a father himself, and he would treat somebody else's child like that, insane. It's imagine that being your dad, the cop. Imagine that cop being your dad, and he's going through life doing stuff like that. That's bringing shame to the family. You know, it's no way that, come on now. And we have the internet now. So this is all over the internet. So everybody's gonna see you doing crazy stuff like that. Like,
she hasn't been patted down yet, no. But we'll get you to talk to her and then get that search, and then we'll just give it to you. You ready?
And here you will see yet another constitutional violation in the form of an illegal search of her car. As Indiana case law recognizes, citing Supreme Court precedent, police may validly search an automobile incident to an arrest only if the arrestee is within reaching distance of the passenger compartment at the time of the search, i.e., officer safety, or it is reasonable to believe that the vehicle contains evidence of the offense of the arrest. So here,
well, we know that's not gonna fly, because the offense to the arrest was not giving up. Not giving. He's saying resisting. She wasn't. Y'all know that this is insane. In the law, that's why I love the civil rights lawyer, because we need lawyers like him.
at the time this officer is searching her car, she's in handcuffs in the back of his police car. Therefore, the only valid reason in the absence of a warrant to search the passenger compartment of the automobile that she's not in is if it's reasonable to believe that her vehicle contains evidence of the offense of arrest. What was she arrested for and charged with? Failure to identify herself. At that time, the officer already had her ID, and that ironically was not even inside the passenger compartment of the vehicle, but outside on the ground. What possible evidence would it be reasonable to believe that could help establish that charge or help prove that charge that could be inside that vehicle? Nothing. He's on a fishing expedition, and that's illegal under the Fourth Amendment.
So there is no reason to be searching her car right now. You didn't even pull her over for anything that would be worth a search. She's not going to jail for anything like that. You gotta think, man. This is how some people end up with a bad record, because you have instances like this. This is going to be on her record now.
Watch your elbow.
Right.
Okay. You explain everything to her?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're good on the vehicle. You want to take it? No point
Yeah, I'll
in
just
telling
follow
it if
you
you're
with
here.
it or-
So, oh, you're gonna follow us down to the jail? Okay.
Court documents show the prosecuting attorney approved the deferred prosecution agreement in the case. The resisting law enforcement charge was dropped, while the refusal to identify.
Of course, it was dropped. So the charge was dropped, but remember, that's still on your record. If anybody asks you, if they ask you, have you been arrested before, you have to tell them about this situation. She's 18, she's a teenager. So you got to think how this is going to play in her mind as she becomes an adult.
And speeding charges remain. Now, reviewing the criminal case documents myself, I don't see where she was ever charged with the resisting law enforcement charge, which clearly does not apply under the statute and Indiana case law. And a deferred prosecution agreement would be appropriate for an 18-year-old who had never been in trouble before. That just means that you go for some.
Hold on. Claudette, you said send this video to HTD. What's HTD? I think cops know, they know that they're breaking the law, but they just feel like they can do it because who's gonna find out? Is that's how I see them handling situations like this. They figure, oh, I'm breaking the law right now, but it's gonna be okay because of qualified immunity. Oh, here's the deal. Okay. I noticed that even if you do know your rights, they will still violate you, even on camera. And that's true. That's the thing. And this is why I hold them accountable by recording everything, because the story will switch up. Everything will switch up when you don't have a camera. Now, if you're on probation or parole, only if you if you're on parole or probation is when I guess some of your rights aren't in place. But you got to think, it could be in a bad situation like this, that now that person is on a record for some BS. That girl is going to jail right now for some BS, for a charge that was dropped. She's going to jail for that. So obviously she didn't do anything wrong, but that's not what you have to tell people when they ask you, have you been arrested before? Yeah, but charges were dropped. Well, why were you charged is the next question, probably.
Period of time could be 6 months, could be a year. You abide by whatever the conditions are. You don't get in any trouble. Then the charge is dismissed completely. You never get convicted. You don't have it on your record. But then her father uploads the videos to YouTube, and then the police respond. So after the father puts it on YouTube, the police came out with the following statement. The South Whitley Police Department shared on.
So after the father put it on YouTube and thousands of people seen it, and that's why we have to have the camera, and that's why I wrote the book about holding them accountable and having the camera to do it, because they won't listen to you if it's just you, or it's just you and or a family member that was. It has to be thousands of people seeing it for them to take into account, or for it to something actually be done about you being treated wrong. which is it's insane that thousands of people have to see it for them to consider doing things the right way. Unbelievable, man. And that's what it took. It took the father putting this video up, putting the video up, and thousands of people to see it before he was able to do anything about it, which is insane. Yeah. That's why I go when anywhere I go, I tell them, a lot of people are going to see this video because they think when you go somewhere and you show up, they think it's just you, and they think, well, maybe this person has a channel, but the channel isn't that big, or whatever thoughts that they have about it. But I tell them, a lot of people are going to see this, and it's no reason for, like, it's crazy, man. That's it, exactly. Most cops think RAS is all they need, and they miss the crime part. Exactly. That's all they think. No, it has to be. You have to be investigating the crime for you to do almost anything. It has to be a crime has taken place or about to take place. It's like they forget that part.
On their Facebook page, here's what it said. In response to a social media post of an edited video of a local law.
Wow. So this is what the police department wrote on their social media. It's that they're saying the video that was released was edited. So any of my footage that y'all will run into, they're gonna say it's edited in some type of way. Y'all gotta know, the only thing I edit out is times where maybe it might be a long pause or something, or a long. I don't even want to say that because they'll say, okay, well, since you edited out that pause, that must mean something happened, and that it's crazy.
Enforcement encounter, the South Whitley. And by the way, the only editing that is relevant here is the editing that this officer did himself by not turning on his body cam at the beginning of the encounter.
Exactly.
That's the only thing that we're missing. The social media posts and comments, and they got completely ratioed on their Facebook page. The comments are savage, deservedly so. The social media.
Exactly. And that's the thing. They don't act until it reaches the people, and it reaches a lot of people.
Post and comments suggest a uniform.
I've gotten emails from places I've gone with and recorded, and something questionable happens or bad happens, and they'll write to me, oh, well, we don't like when you show this. Well, I don't like that it happened.
Local officer acted unreasonably in his interaction with a driver pulled over for speeding on January 24th, 2024. The incident resulted in a criminal charge and judicial finding of probable cause that the driver committed a crime. Failure to not give your ID fast enough. Scary. Persons charged with crimes are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. It is a crime to refuse to identify yourself if stopped for a traffic infraction. Further, a law enforcement officer is authorized to arrest an individual who commits a crime in the officer's presence. The reasonableness of the officer's conduct during the arrest is being reviewed. To ensure the fairness of process to all parties, the town's attorney has advised that it is inappropriate to comment on the underlying facts of this incident while they're being reviewed. then why did you just do it? You see exactly why.
And that's why did you even comment if you saying that it makes, I'm telling you, it's so backwards how they, that's what I'm telling you. Until a lot of people see it, you're gonna be out of luck, man, or out of get, or you're not gonna have any gas behind what you're trying to get accomplished. A lot of people have to see it, and you have to have it on camera. It needs to be on camera. Anytime you go to any government office or anything like that, you have to record everything, because somebody will tell you something and it'll be completely different once you bring it up to the once you bring up something bad that happened, they'll try to make it seem like it didn't happen every single time. And I learned that, and that's what made me realize, like, you have to have a objective record of what happened.
The word police
It can't just be your word against somebody else's word.
on the side of that police car, that town's police car, has a thin blue line in it, like incorporated into it, because that's what they're all about, is protecting police officers, not protecting the public. Of course, he acted unreasonably. Did you watch the video?
Of
He
course,
was an 18-year-old kid, a little girl, never been pulled over before in her life.
an 18-year-old girl or kid. I think kid is the term that we would use in situations like this, because you see her and you would see, like, she looks like a kid.
Had committed no crime other than perhaps speeding and having a headlight that is out.
And we're gonna say she went 7 miles above the speed limit. Like, come on. And having the headlight out. Like, come on. And somehow this cop decides he's gonna take her out the car, slam her on the ground, almost break her arm, and take her to jail, because it's ridiculous.
Out. And you have this aggressive officer who we see being aggressive to several people, who clearly has a temper, who knows what he was saying and how he was saying it to her. She may have been terrified and frozen up. Of course, he
I
acted
think that's what
unreasonably.
happened.
What could she possibly have said to justify this bully violently, physically mistreating a little girl like that? This police department should be ashamed. They deserve the savage comments that they're getting
Yep.
on Facebook, and they deserve more than that. In fact, this officer deserves to be in prison, in my opinion. He deserves to be prosecuted.
I agree.
Did he not commit a violent battery?
That is, I don't think that the little girl should be going to jail right now. And for a grown man to want that type of situation for a little girl, he needs to go to jail.
Against a little girl. He did. We all saw it on video. And in this media report, which I'll link in the pinned comment below, this is what they wrote. They confirmed that Officer Schimmel faced discipline after an arrest while he was working for the Monrovia Police Department back in 2023. Monrovia Police Chief Matt Wright says that Schimmel was suspended for 10 days following an investigation into how Schimmel handled an incident at the town racetrack. After the investigation, the board and department sent Schimmel to a de-escalation training program in Morgan County with another agency. This guy doesn't just need to be sent to a de-escalation training program.
Right.
He needs to be sent to prison, where he can try having a temper with his colleagues in prison, and we'll see how that.
Exactly. He needs to have a temper with other men who are ready to take it there like he is.
Works out for him. Like I told you, if you don't have a problem with this one, then you're part of the problem. This girl's father has set up a website, and he outlines everything that happened, links the raw footage. And then he also has a petition for you to sign. And I will link that in the pinned comment below. So go check that out. And if you want to support her, if you want to help her get justice here, help her father get justice here, sign the petition. You can also help by spreading this footage. Everybody should see this guy's temper and how he treats a little girl. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe both here and at the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com. If you have a video you want me to review, use the submission link below. Also follow me on Twitter, John Bryan ESQ. Remember, our rights do not end where your fear begins. Freedom is scary. Deal with it.
Yeah, y'all. So y'all see that one definitely pissed me off. And that happened in January. It was posted 4 months ago. So this is happening in 2024. Like I just did a video about the presidential debate, which was insane. Is y'all, what we dealing with right now is so crazy. So I think somebody wanted me to check out J Press channel and what they were doing over there. J Town Press. So if you drop that, I'll go ahead and check it out. But how do y'all feel about that? You know, just being normal people. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about, and it's bad for the police department and it's bad for men in general. When stuff like this comes out, it's how do you, it's crazy that police departments are hiring people like this. And you got to think, as a man, and that cop is a man who has children himself. That's insane. My fault. Hold on, y'all. Hey, how am I recovering right now? You know, it's still day by day. I still have some leg pain that I'm dealing with, and recovering. And like, if I walk too much, I do have pain when I walk too much. I have issues with like my right shoulder. I can't really lift this arm up fully. When I do it, like I have shoulder pain. And I'm really happy that I was able to, that I didn't break my arm in that accident. The way it feels like now, I feel like my arm was really injured when I was in that accident. I'm happy it didn't break, because to have a broken arm and for me to be in a situation like that would have been even worse.